This is Professional Launch with Rico Aladdin, positively connecting the less connected, bridging gaps, and building futures in the community. Professional Launch with Rico Aladdin.
Hello, professionals. My name is Rico Aladdin, and I'm the founder of Professional Launch and the host of the Professional Launch show on WDOI here. Today, I am talking to a senior brand manager, a senior global brand manager, and we'll be talking about marketing and branding and, of course, a mentorship, because this is what the platform is about. So before we start the conversation, I have a quick message for you. If you come across our name, what we are about mentorship. And right now we are recruiting mentors for this fall semester. Well, if you are able to volunteer for 1 to 2 hours a month, or at least 3 hours for the semester, and you are a professional, you can be a mentor. So just reach out to us, or click on the platform button on professionallaunch.org. Click on the platform button and then create an account, and that will kind of set you up to be a mentor for the fall. Now, on to the conversation. Eric, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm excited about what we're going to talk about: marketing and branding, and also mentorship. Tell the Professional Launch audience a little bit about yourself.
Yes, fantastic to be here. Thanks so much for having me on the show, Rico. This is great. My name's Eric Piela. By trade, when I'm working full time, I'm a senior global brand manager, which means I am thinking about all the ways in which individuals think and connect, identify, and relate to an organization or a brand. I've also have tons of passion around personal brand. How is we as individuals be true to who we are, live our authentic self, and lean into that, right? And be proud of who we are in this culture of imposter syndrome, right? Or Instagram, where we're constantly comparing ourselves. I'm not sure. I think it's now more than ever, it's important that we as individuals really be confident in who we are, take time to explore what our values are, and then really how do we bring those to life? So tons of parallels we can talk about. I can't wait to nerd out on between, professional brand that I do for, my day job, and then really just how we can live as individuals.
Wonderful, wonderful. Please move the mic a little bit closer to you.
Of course, let me get in here.
Yeah. And okay, so you spent 20 years in marketing. And so how has your approach evolved as the industry has changed?
Oh, 20 years. You're calling me out. That's when did that happen? I blinked, and now I'm one of those in my bios that's got 20 plus years. I don't know how that happened, but here we are.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been a blur, believe it or not. But I think when I think about, I really didn't even go to school, frankly, for marketing and for branding. I went for organizational communication. So I was just really passionate about how businesses, how individuals think about the way in which they craft messages, think about the way in which they can persuade audiences. And when I got my first internship, this was Great Plains before it was acquired by Microsoft here in town in Fargo. I was a young pup in college, and I got an internship in marketing. I thought, I thought to myself, how am I going to use these great skills that I have around comms? And marketing showed up. This is a fantastic way to do that. And so beginning of my career wasn't about brand. It was more about what I would call direct marketing. What can I do to elicit a direct response? It was everything from how do I change the color of a button in an email to increase the number of people that click on that, learn more button. And that's changed. I found out, well, that was really cool. And the data side of me really enjoyed being able to measure each little adjustment that I made to see what kind of response I get. What I really connected with, Rico, was when I started moving into the brand world, which is we think about what are the relationships that we want to create? What are some of the feelings and emotions that you have when you connect with the brand? And I think the reason I really wanted to get into that is because social media really unlocked that connection. Before, you were watching an advertisement on the television at a Super Bowl ad, right? But now with social media, you're interacting, you're commenting on posts, you're seeing these brands come to life in the same medium that you're liking your aunt's lake sunset photos, right? So they're interconnected. And I think that that transcendence and that evolution has really changed the way in which I think about branding and how people and brands and companies need to connect with people on a more visceral level.
So, in your opinion, what is the key to create a brand that people genuinely connect with?
Great question. And I think it varies probably on your business. So the first thing is you have to be true to who you are, right? So what is your North Star as a business? What are your values? So in the exercise we have, that I'm doing today at my organization is thinking through specifically and critically, what is my mission statement? What are our vision statements? What are the key outcomes that my solution, my product, my service is going to deliver to you as a customer? And if you can answer those questions, that's sort of what your marketing promise is going to be. From there, that's really where you start to decide, okay, how do I want to live these values? How do I want to bring this vision and mission to life? And that's where, as an organization, you start to determine what kind of business are we? What's our personality as a business? And some of that stems from leadership, right? Some of that stems from the type of products we have. So are we a playful brand, or are we more of a polished professional brand? And that may determine if I'm a bank, right? Versus if I'm a retailer. I have different expectations about what I want from a company, right? And who I want to act with. And so I think if your nucleus and you're starting, your North Star is that, how you bring that brand to life and become authentic means that you're living that. People can tell when you're pretending to be something that you're not. We have a really good, I call it a BS radar, right? We can tell when people aren't being authentic, whether that's a company or a brand, right? It feels natural. And I think if companies think about that and take the time to really think about how they want to show up, that's where being authentic and connecting in a real way is important. One other thing I want to add too, a lot of times brands and companies want to be everything to everyone. And one of the biggest things that I learned is that part of that exploration is, who are we not going to be? What are the followers that we don't want to talk to? Our business, our company is for people who love X, Y, and Z. And it's not for people who love A, B, and C. And that's okay. By almost saying what you're not going to be, you can more clearly determine who you are going to be as a brand. And again, people will connect with that because they have similar passions, right? Or similar values. Or they've fallen in love with the quality of your product or service, right?
Wonderful, man. I love that. Clearly identify what you're not going to be so that, what you want to be can be clear to others.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what advice would you give to small businesses trying to compete with larger brand when it comes to creating their own identity?
Yeah, great question. So I think the first thing that businesses should do, again, in addition to that exercise I talked about really understanding who they are, right? Who do they want to be, and how are they living that as a business through their operations, through their customer service, through their website, through their marketing, through their branding. Then it's really, again, I think the desire to have I really thought through what is my differentiation, right? How am I going to be different? If you're coming to a market that's inundated with competitors, right? It's going to be really, really hard to stand out. So you have to come at that from a very unique perspective. What is everyone, and you can, whether you want to call that a SWOT analysis, which is I want to look at the strengths and the weaknesses and the opportunities, right? The things that are out there, I want to kind of plot, here's my competition. Here's what they're doing. Here's their messaging. Here's their target audience. And then if I look at that, I can say, where do I fit on this map? And where is there an opportunity and opening that not only fits with what I want to do, but also brings value? Because yes, it's important to do, if you're a small business owner, to do something that you believe in and passionate about. But sometimes entrepreneurs forget to look at, is there a market for this? Does someone really want this? Is there a connection here? And when those two align, that's where the magic happens. So I think the first is just to understand, what does your market look like? Where's your opportunity? And this is a a really interesting perspective, right? Hey, say I'm going to start really small here. Maybe you want to be a freelancer, and maybe maybe you took music, and you know what? In my free time, I want to become a piano teacher. Well, if I look around, I've got young kids right now. There's piano teachers everywhere, Rico.
Yeah.
So how are you going to be different? But here's what I found. some piano teachers, there are some students who have visions of becoming a musical performer, and you're going to learn classical music. You're going to learn Beethoven, Mozart, and you're going to learn technique. But some people just want to have fun in playing piano. They want to be able to sit down and play some of their songs they hear on the radio. So what if you're a piano teacher that instead of leaning into the classics, I want kids to connect with this. So instead of learning some of the classics, what are some artists you listen to on the radio? You like Taylor Swift? She's announced she's dropping a new album. And that's a way. Hey, I'm a piano teacher that really likes to connect with students who have a passion for music and love it, but want to be able to do it in a fun way that connects. There's an opportunity to completely position yourself differently than maybe the piano teachers that are out there. That's just one analogy, but you think about business, whether you're a hairstylist, whether you're opening a sandwich company, like what are some things that are uniquely and different that you believe in that people will connect with? And again, that exercise of we're not going to be X, Y, and Z, but we are going to be A, B, and C. And guess what? This is for people who love that. And that's where you can start. Find an audience that's passionate and believes what you're doing and the way that you do it, and you'll find success.
Wonderful, man. That was a great piece. I like that. And so we're not taking a break here. When we come back, we will continue the conversation. But first, let me remind everybody that Professional Launch is a nonprofit organization, and therefore we heavily rely on friends, on guests, on partners to keep our operation going. So go on professionallaunch.org/donate and see every way you can support us. Your support means the world to us. We thank you so much. We'll be right back. We are back. Today we are talking about marketing and branding. And I am so lucky to have Eric here to talk about this because Eric has 2 decades of experience in this field. So I'm so lucky to have you, Eric. So what is the most common challenges or what are the most common challenges that companies face when it comes to creating a brand, and how do you suggest that they solve it?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges, right? Especially if you're a small business, resources are limited. Whether that be, manpower, whether that be budget to grow a brand. And so I think a lot of it is understanding like marketing and branding takes energy, it takes dollars, right? And it takes consistency. One of the things that can often happen to is you start a new business and you put all this energy into this big splash. Maybe it's a grand opening. Maybe you putting work into social media. Maybe you're trying to find connections. And then guess what? Just like anything, that starts to die. And so the important thing about branding is challenges is being consistent, right? Yes, it's important to make a loud noise when you start and to get that attention. But how can you think pragmatically about what is my year-long brand and marketing plan? How can I continually show up? And looking at all the different ways in which you can do that, right? Whether that's, depending on your business, is that showing up where your customers are, right? That could be in person. Is there a chamber event you should be going to? Are there associations or clubs or, things that are the community you're supporting that are happening in real life, IRLs, the kids say, right? Or is it virtual, right? Are there groups? There's tons of Facebook groups where people gather to talk about things. Have you looked to see where are people having conversations and dialogue about what it is or services that you're providing, and how can you be helpful? And that's the other thing I want to say. So much of the time, that we as business owners or as marketers, we love, unfortunately, just to talk about our stuff and how cool it is and why you're going to want it. But in reality, yes, you can do that. But what really people appreciate and where you can make a connection is how can you be helpful? How can you provide value? How can you provide information that will help somebody either solve a problem, be better at a solution, and guess what? Maybe your solution can help them. Maybe your product or your service can help them get there, and maybe it won't. But people will really connect if you can go out of the way to make their life easier or provide them. And so a lot of the things that we do as companies is, how can you just be helpful? And guess what? Here in the Midwest, people love that. People appreciate that. So find opportunities to give back, to provide information that would make them, and whether they buy or not, yes, they will keep your company they will keep your brand in top of mind as someone that helped them. Maybe it was a week ago. Maybe it was a month ago. Oh, I remember that. I remember Professional Launch. I tuned in. They helped me. Oh, they have some really cool information about branding and marketing. I wonder what else their topics they have that they're talking about. Like, there are things that you can connect with. And so I think a couple of challenges. One, consistency, right? Finding unique ways, finding where your audience lives and being present. And two, don't always be selling. Also, find ways to be helpful, finding ways to be meaningful, because that's what people connect with. Because if you're just selling, guess what you become? You're a commodity. You're just like every other service or someone that's providing something. But what else can you provide that's unique, that's helpful? That's where that emotional connection can come to with a brand. And I've seen a lot of small businesses make ends with that.
Wonderful. So that's the business part, but what about young professionals who are maybe in college right now or just graduated from college? What advice do you have for them to stand out professionally through their personal brand without feeling fake?
Yeah, I love it. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. If I can put myself, back in those shoes of a college student who's just kind of emerging, right, into air quotes, the real world. I like to think of, again, personal brand in very much the same way that big businesses like Nike spends $4 billion a year on their brand, so that when you think of Nike, right, you don't ever see, it's so interesting. I love study these companies. Like, when you see a commercial for Nike, you don't hear about the shoe. You don't know how much air is in that shoe. What do you see? You see great athletes doing amazing athletics. They just happen to be wearing Nike. It's about celebrating that person. And so whether it's big brands like, I say Disney, you should think magic. When I say Apple, you might think innovation. When I say Volvo, you might think, safe. And there's a reason for that. Because here's what I want people to realize is that the saying that perception is reality, it's the same thing with brand. Your brand is perception, which means it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's what your personal brand is. And that doesn't mean all hope is lost, that, oh gosh, well, if it's up to other people what my personal brand is, what do? There's a reason when I said Apple, when I say Disney, you think of magic, because they've been really purposeful in all their communications and all their experiences and all their products, that those are the words that they want to come to mind. And just for you as an individual, what do you want to be known? Maybe you just got that one thing that we like to say. Maybe if you can be known for just one thing, what do you want that one thing to be? It's a really fun exercise. So I have a side business of my good friend Curtis Karn called Neon Unicorns. And one of the things we talk about is personal brand. One of the exercises that we do when you're in one of our classes is, when I was getting married, I had a pastor who wanted to get to know a little bit more about me. So he went around to each of my wedding parties and said, if you had to describe Eric in one word, what would it be? And the words that were coming out of these people's mouths, Rico, I was like, these are my closest people. And it was at that moment, Rico, that I realized how we view ourselves isn't necessarily how others view us.
That's true.
And so I think one is just knowing and understanding that how we might view ourselves. And so one of the things that exercises that we do as a big brand marketer is we do a brand audit. So everyone who comes to our classes say, you know what, go on social media, go into your DMs and say, hey, I got this crazy trainer. He's asked, if you had to describe me in just one word, what would it be? You start to understand the ways in which you're being perceived. Then you have the information, Rico, to know, okay, if that's why I'm being perceived, here's what I think of myself. How do I do a better job of saying, you know what, I want to be known for being, I'm going to use myself as an example. If I had to sum myself, I've got tons of energy. So positivity and energetic are probably those words that I would use if I was thinking of myself. And I started to see that. Eric's, he's super passionate. He's got tons of energy. He's always so positive, right? That's what I want. What they don't say, Eric, he's super punctual. He's just a real detailed oriented guy. That's okay. Remember, it's about knowing what I'm not, but leaning into who I am. And so I think if you're a college student and being careful, like, what are the things you want to be known for, right? Like what are you really excited about? And so whether that is understanding and exploring what my purpose is, what are the things I'm passionate about, and what are the things that are my personality and that's uniquely me, leaning into those things and really being thoughtful about it, because no one takes time to think about, well, who am I? And the exercise of doing that, Rico, can be super powerful, because then you can start to be intentional about how I want to be. Maybe it is, maybe I want to be really, I just want to be a really thoughtful person. I want to know, if you're going to work with Eric, he's going to come to every interaction super thoughtful, super considerate, and that's who I want on my team, right? So find your differentiating value, find your personal brand, because when people are making connections, you're interviewing, right, for that first full-time job, it's just like a brand. People connect with you. Yes, you have the right skills. Yes, do you have the right strengths? But who are you, and what does it really mean? If I came to so one of the things I tell students is, if I was to, I ask them, if I was to hire you, what kind of person am I getting? What is one thing, that you really believe in, that I think is going to shine through? And I would love for students that are listening is to really purposeful in thinking about what that one thing should be.
Wonderful, man. Talking about branding, personal branding, you have been called 10% Ryan Seacrest and 90% Phil Dunphy. Okay. How has humor and authenticity shaped your personal brand? I mean, well, first of all, tell me about that 10%.
Yeah.
Who gave that those percentage?
So, I'll be honest with you. I've heard that many times. Oh, so Ryan Seacrest, who, that was the whole American Idol phase, right? Yeah. And then now I think he's the host of Wheel of Fortune, I believe, right? And then Phil Dunphy is obviously a primary character in the great sitcom Modern Family. Yeah. And so that's what you just read. That's the first line of my bio, Rico. And there's a reason I do that, is because when you read that, you automatically get a feel of who I am as a person and what my personal brand is. I don't take myself too seriously. I'm a dad. I do stupid dad things, but I have the Ryan Seacrest in me is I love a stage. I'm not afraid of an audience. I bring lots of energy. I MC events for a living, right? So that's how that came to be, is I want people to know, like, right out the gate, I don't take myself too seriously. But it also gives a hint of, because these are typical people and characters that people just hopefully fall in love with, right? Phil's one of the most likable dads in TV history.
Wonderful. Eric, let's take a break. We're gonna come back to this after we're done. Let's take a break. We're gonna take a break. We'll be right back with the conversation. Man, what a wonderful show we are having today, talking about personal branding. And Eric, right before the show, you were explaining how you get to have the 10% Ryan Seacrest with the 90% Phil Dunphy. So, and my question is, I know it's I want to know how you come to these percentages. How do you guys come to? Why couldn't it be 25% or something like that?
It's a sliding scale. I think those percentages. I think 90% is Phil Dunphy, who is I think like I mentioned, one of the most beloved TV dads. And at the heart, a lot of who I am as an individual, if we tie it back to brand, is being a father. I've got 2 boys, and I think a lot of people can relate to Phil, and I think that was important. And the 10% is just to say, hey, I'm a dad. I like to have fun. I can be a little bit flaky or flighty. I like a good old magic trick, just like Phil did. But the 10% Seacrest is really about, I also have a flair for the stage. I have a passion for bringing energy to any event. And most of the time when that bio is used, I'm presenting, right? So either I'm about to deliver a corporate training or I'm about to deliver a host an event. And so I think it's a good blend. It's, I could probably move 5% here or there, but at the heart of it, I'm Phil.
Wonderful. So, when you talk about personal brand, like, this is more for, young folks, because this is what the show is about. What else is involved, in building that brand? Are we talking about what is the role of public speaking, of presence? And, can you elaborate on that? I get to speak on personal branding quite a few times, but, I want to hear from other folks. What are some of the things that get involved in building that personal brand that makes you stand out?
Yeah, I think personal brand is really interesting. I think sometimes personal brand can get a bad rap because, if you look at it in a certain lens, it's all about, well, maybe you're trying to peacock a little bit and being ingenuine. And I think the heart of personal brand is first and foremost, you just got to be yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I like to make the analogy, right? You've got Starbucks and you got Dunkin' Donuts. They're schlepping the same thing, which is coffee, but they're two very different brands that go to market two very different ways. So be confident in who you are. There's enough room for all types of brands and all types of people. So don't get overwhelmed with, oh, I see that person. And it's okay to have mentors and have people that maybe you look up to. But first is just start by rooting in who you are. What do you believe in? How do you want to be seen, to the rest of the professional world? And then when you identify those things, that's where you just have to live them. And so again, I get it's purpose, it's personality, and it's proficiency.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that I think make up a personal brand. Is again, what's your North Star as an individual? What do you find purpose in? Your personality is what makes you who you are. What are unique? Right? Like, are you more of an introverted person? You take time to think through an answer, but when you open your mouth, it's very methodic, and people want to listen, right? And the last thing is that proficiencies. What are the skills? What are the things that you've invested your time in that can make you unique, right? So I would like to say if you want to get a job in marketing, for example, I want to know those things. I'm looking for your personality. I'm looking the way in which you approach a problem. I'm looking for the things that you mean or are passionate about. But also from a proficiency standpoint, what have you learned? Right? What are you really great at? You know what? Like, no one can work a spreadsheet like me. That's cool. Or you know what? I'm super passionate about social media and I want to get into social media marketing. And if I've seen, I volunteered time for a local nonprofit and I worked on their social media channel for free because I'm really passionate about one, what they do. And two, it gives me a really good hands-on experience to do this. That shows me you didn't just go through the motions. You're living your purpose. You're doing something that you love. And you've crafted your skill in that by doing that in the real world, right? So if you can find those three and bring them together, for me, that's what I call the secret recipe for a personal brand.
Wonderful, wonderful. As you know, I mean, we can talk about personal branding for a whole day, but the show is only 1 hour, so we're gonna shift focus here to talk about what Professional Launch is about, which is mentorship, right? And so now I always ask in the last few weeks of the show, I've always asked guests if they have been a mentor or if they have been influenced by mentors in their life. So have you had any mentor in your life? And if so, how have you been, have they influenced you in your professional career?
An emphatic yes to both of those questions, Rico. I will start. One of the things that I figured out right away is that when I graduated college, I didn't know what I was doing. Right? I knew
you are among hundreds, a lot of other people, hundreds of thousands of people.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Right. And so very quickly I realized, and I still to this day value those individuals who became mentors for me, those that saw something in me, those that were willing to give extra time to sit down with me, whether it was over coffee or whether it was like, it could be a side, hey, next time you do this, actually think about doing that, and that. Oh, that's a good tip. Thank you. Right? Just small little things. And sometimes it's, if you're lucky enough, you get a manager in your first job and someone that's willing to invest in you as a manager and a leader, or maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's something that, and so absolutely, I credit a lot of I would say, my professional success to those that took time to invest in me. Individually, I've also wanted to pay back, the mentorship. And so whether it was through MSUM, I was a formal mentor through the program that they've had. I met with a lot of college students over the years to help them grow. And one of the things that I was taught from a mentor of mine, she said, Eric, one of the greatest things that I ever did, and I like to pass along to you, is create, how businesses, Rico, have a board of directors, right? So one of the advices I got is, Eric, you should create a personal board of directors. People that you can surround yourself with Maybe it's someone that you currently work with. Maybe it's someone that you worked with in the past.
Yeah.
Maybe it's someone you've always just looked up to. And if you're like me, maybe it's someone who's younger than you that brings a fresh perspective, that doesn't have the weight of 20 plus years of experience, right? Bringing you down. And surround yourself with people that lift you up, that can provide authenticity. And so I try to do that for others. And I try to do that for myself, because that journey, whether you're a college kid just coming up, that's what my biggest piece of advice is: find some people that believe in you. Because one of the coolest things is, Rico, is the number one, when we think about what success looks like for our lives, the number one thing that impacts our success is the expectations that we have of ourselves. So we are a direct result of our own expectations. So what we achieve in life ties back to how we expect ourselves. But guess what? The number one thing that impacts our expectations of ourselves is it's the expectations that others have of us. So when people expect more out of you, guess what? You expect more out of yourself. So that's why I've always felt like mentorship, people that believe in you, that lift you up, you gotta find that crew of people that do that. So that's my number one recommendation for anyone coming out, is find your personal board of directors.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, I like to say on this show that I am a product of mentors. I never thought of calling them all the mentors that I have in my life a board of directors, but it didn't make sense, right? Because those folks, whether it's for personal matters or whether it's professional things, they are, the guiding board for me.
Yes.
And they offered me advice. And the most, the best part of this all is all of these mentors that I have shaped my life, my professional life and my personal life, they have not asked for anything in return. That is a little bit emotional for me, because there are people that really, they put up with my, my nonsense sometimes. And all they say to me in return is, Rico, continue doing what you're doing and pay it forward. They love the fact that I'm creating the same opportunities for those who may look like me, or for somebody who is from a town of 10 people who wants to find out what they want to do, and who wants to connect with someone who has more experience. And like I said, it's the kindest thing to see that people will give you that much of their time, their energy, their knowledge, and yet they don't want anything in return.
And that's what I would say to those young students looking for mentors. Don't ask, hey, I'm looking for direction, I'm looking for help, would you be willing to be a mentor of mine? They're not gonna. People want to be helpful, right? Don't feel like you have to bring anything to the table. People will want to help and make those ask and build those mentorships around you.
Wonderful, man. You can see how I almost sound emotional when I'm talking about mentorship. It's just a very close to heart thing for me. And so we're going to take another short break here. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation and offer some advice to young professionals. We'll be right back. We are back. Today we are talking about personal branding and marketing, and also the last segment we were talking about mentorship. Man, I have to say those topics are really mean a lot to me because of how valuable they are becoming in the marketplace, especially for young professionals who are launching their careers. You need a mentor. You need more than one mentor. As a matter of fact, you need 3 mentors minimum. I have 7 myself. And these are formal mentors, folks that I meet with on a regular basis, and they have contributed a lot in both my personal and my professional life. And so what we're trying to do with Professional Launch is giving you this opportunity, facilitate that relationship between experienced professionals and you. If you are just starting yours right now, there are folks waiting to be your mentor, waiting to help you launch your career. So professionallaunch.org, and click on that platform button and create an account as a mentor or as a mentee. That's the way you can do that. So we're talking about mentorship, and I'm going to ask you 2 questions in one, okay? So tell me a little bit, why do you think mentorship is so important for young professionals? And what is that one piece of advice you can give those who want to be mentees about finding a mentor and building their careers?
Yeah. Hit me with the first question again, because I got wrapped in your second one.
Why is mentorship so important? Yeah.
It's so important because when you're coming out of college, you don't know what you don't know, right? Yeah. You're really excited, right? You're nervous, you're anxious. And so it's easy. There's a lot of things that people don't really think about. Like I've secured my first job. This is great. But I think if you really want to understand, and if you're really focusing on how do I want to grow my professional career, right? It's just having really baseline conversations with people who've seen these things, who've been in your shoes, who know what growth can look like. And so I think that's, one of the biggest things is just finding opportunities, giving you shortcuts, right? Best practices. Here are the places that I went to where I was to make tons of meaningful connections, right? Where can that mentorship happen, right? Where can it grow, and providing opportunities for that organic conversation. I think, I look back at my craft and my trade, and I certainly believe that, yes, I learned on the job, but I learned from people. I learned leadership skills. I learned how to handle difficult situations with coworkers. That I got from my mentors. That I got from, I'm stuck in a situation and I don't know how to handle this.
Yep.
Please give me some advice, right? We would love to have that person to go to, because sometimes your friends, your peer network, they're probably sitting in this, they don't know either, right?
Yep.
So it's okay to go out and find those people who are just willing to help, who want to give back and want to provide that guidance. And so take that leap, make that ask. You will be blown away at the number of people that are just willing to help and want to see you succeed. Those are the people you want to surround yourself anyway, Rico, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So, that is really, really good. So as you can see, we have about 4 minutes till the end of the show right now. I want to talk a little bit about what you guys do for fun, right? The Neo Unicorn project or organization. You said you found that with Curtis. What is the most memorable moment that you guys you've had, and you and Curtis have had while emceeing or speaking?
Oh, great question, Rico. We have so much fun. So, Neon Unicorns, we have been through so many, the reason we started it was, we have seen so many well-intentioned trainings that just fall flat. We've seen so many meticulously planned events, but there was not an attention to how do you keep your audience engaged. And so we just wanted to take some of our extroverted, wild personalities and put them to good use, right? And so when I think about some of the fun things, you never know. I think that's the biggest thing, Rico, is you never know. So one of the things we don't know, like we like to say our tagline is a different kind of bright, which means we bring a different kind of energy to these trainings and events that maybe people aren't used to. And one of the things we used to get caught up with was, are we gonna resonate? Is this gonna land with this group? Are we gonna connect? And so sometimes, we're unsure. We literally just did a really great presentation of all organizations, Kiwanis. North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Kiwanis came together, and we actually thought to ourselves, I don't know if we're gonna hit. I'm not sure we're gonna get our humor. They're typically an older demographic. I would say a lot of the people in the room were boomers. And so people connected. They laughed more at our content and connected more with our content than almost any other group has. And so I'd say for us, it was a stop pretending to know what you think people are going to, connect with or not. Just be yourself, be who you are, be your personal brand, and lean into those moments.
Wonderful. I have 30 seconds for the last question. If you could give one life motto to our listeners, what would it be?
Life motto. Oh my goodness. For me, it's spread positivity.
Okay.
Uplift people. It will come back to yourself in multitude.
Wonderful. Eric, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's such a pleasure to have you here and talking about these topics that are so important to me. And I know the listeners and those folks who are going to watch the episode later will enjoy them so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now, this is the part that I tell you. It's up to you to make today a great day. Have a great day.